All right, we're going to talk about how to make a Scratch game about the ocean floor that is drag and drop. So we're going to go to Scratch. We can just Google it. We'll sign in and we'll click Create. Once it loads, we have the cat. We don't need Scratchy, so we right click on Scratchy and click Delete. We have our backdrop. Our backdrop is white. We're going to want to make it look like the ocean floor. So we click up here where it says Backdrops. We've got our paintbrush. We see our paintbrush is the color black. Here's our thickness of our paintbrush. You can adjust this if you want. But we got to remember the features of an ocean floor. So on an ocean floor, we start with a shelf, goes into a slope, makes a plane, goes up into a ridge. Here's our little vent, another little ridge, down all the way to the bottom for the trench, up again, makes another ridge, there's another slope, and there's another shelf. And there's our ocean floor. Notice that your black lines have to go all the way to the edge. So if you feel like you didn't, you can go ahead and add a little bit down there. And the bottom, it has to always connect. We do that because our next thing is to color it in. So we want to click on our paint can. Let's pick maybe the color of an ocean floor. I'm going to go with maybe that one. And I want it to be a solid color. And I click right there. And look, I colored it all in. So now I've got my ocean floor. But now my next thing I need is my water. So again, we stick with the paint can. We're going to go with maybe some form of a blue. But if you notice, we have a gradient right here. So we have it going from dark to light. But if we remember our ocean floor, it starts off light and goes to dark. So we just flip-flop the white here, and then it flip-flops the gradient. So you can pick a different color, find one you like. I'm going to go with this version maybe. And then just click the paint can, and there you go. So we have our ocean floor. And the last thing we need is our vent. And we said our vent was going to come out right here. So I just click my paintbrush, make it a little bit thicker, and just try to draw what would look like our hydrothermal vent. And once you feel like you're done with your picture and you like it, you click right here where it says convert to vector. That then makes our backdrop now in the background. So next up in making our drag and drop game is we have to create labels. So labels are going to be sprites. So we'll click the paintbrush. We have our rectangle. We're going to start with our paintbrush just being a black with a frame. You look right here, you see the little plus sign. We're going to want to draw our box over top of the plus sign. Try to keep that green dot right there where that plus sign is. It helps you when you're dragging it if your box stays positioned right over top of that plus sign. So when you're dragging it, it's going to follow the XY coordinates properly. Once you like that, click your paintbrush can again. See, there's our box right there. It's a little big, but we'll fix it in a minute. So we're going to want to color it in white. So we click white with our paintbrush and we click right there. Whoops, Mr. Watts picked that. We pick that up. If you make a mistake like that, just hit the undo button and paintbrush. Now it's white. So we're almost done. We've got a box. That's great. We could go ahead and make a bunch of our boxes real fast, but we're going to go ahead and type into it. So we'll click the T. And we want to make sure I see my color is still white, so I want to change it back to black. And I want to type in continental. Continental. And I like mine to be underneath shelf. When I'm finished clicking, you see it gives me this boxes so I can move it around. You get one chance to move it around. If you mess up, you got to hit the undo button. When I feel like I'm all done, I click convert to vector, and boom, there's my box. This is way too big, right? Way too big for my game. So I need to shrink it down. So I click this little button up here and it says shrink. So I just click it until I think it's about the right size. I know it looks real small here, but when you're playing at full screen, it's going to look a lot bigger. So I'm just going to put it right up there. I'm going to go ahead and make all my little labels real fast. So I'm going to, well, sorry, before I even do that, you see right down here it says Sprite 1. We don't want it to say Sprite 1. It's going to make it real hard for us. We're going to have a lot of sprites in this game. So let's go ahead and click that little I and then name it Shelf. and then you go back. So now when I right click and I'm going to click duplicate, boom, it's going to make another one. I'm going to go ahead and name it right now before I do anything else. Slope, just so I remember. And now I can click on my slope box and boom, it says continental shelf. I needed to say continental slope. I could just do it all over again. But I'm going to try and save some time here is by clicking convert to bitmap. Bitmap allows us to manipulate it. And here's our little eraser. So now you can adjust the position of your eraser. I always worry that it's too much. And then I'm just going to erase the word shelf. You'll notice a little checkerboard starts to pop out as you're erasing because you're actually not just erasing the word shelf, but you're erasing the white backdrop. So that's okay. We just got to remember to go back here, click on our paint can, click on white again, make sure this is clicked. And then when you click that, it's going to make that white. So that's great. Now I need to click on the T because I need to write the word slope. Remember, you got to check for your color. It's not white again. You'll think you're not typing anything. It's just because you didn't switch it back to black. So click right here, slope. Again, I get one chance to move it, so I'm going to move it right where I like it. I feel like it's perfect. I'm going to click convert to vector, and I'm going to move it up here. Okay? So there's the continental shelf, there's the continental slope. Let's go ahead, let's just create them all. We know we're going to need I'm going to right click on the slope down here and click duplicate again. Before I do anything, I'm going to click the I and rename it. I don't want it to be slope 2. I actually want it to be ocean. I'm just going to call it ridge, because this one's going to be the ocean ridge. So I want it to be the ridge. I go right over here. I click convert to bitmap. I click my little eraser. And now I'm going to have to erase all of it, both the slope and the word continental, because I actually need the words to say ocean ridge. Go ahead and carefully erase all this. Make a mistake, it's okay. That's what that little undo button is up there at the top. Click back to the paint can, make it white again, fill my paint can, boom. Click my T, click right there, make sure my text is black. Click back up here to type again, type the word ocean ridge. Again, I get one chance to move it, so I'll grab it, move it right down. Click convert to vector. Great. See what else I need. I got my shelf here. I've got my slope. I've got my ridges. These are my ridges. I need my abyssal. What is it called? Abyssal plane. So I'm going to right click on this one and duplicate again. Click over here. Remember before I almost started to want to erase, but I reminded myself I need to change the name of this to plane. Click convert to bitmap, grab my little eraser, erase all these little words. Okay, click my paint can, make sure it's white. Boom, click my T, make sure my T is black, double click. I'm going to type the word ABYSSAL, return PLAIN, abyssal plane. I want it to be right in the center of my box. It's perfect. Convert to vector. So I got my shelf, I got my slope, I got my ridge, I got my plane. Almost done. Right click again, make another one, duplicate it. Remember to go ahead and name it. I'm going to name this one my trench. It's going to be my ocean trench. Click over here, convert to bitmap to make any changes to the picture. Click on my little eraser. Erase the word abyssal plane. Go. A little paint can. Back to white again. Filled. My little T. Back to black again. Double tap. Ocean trench. Click off of it. Put it right in the middle. Convert to vector. One more to go. Right click. Duplicate one last time. Rename it. This one is going to be the vent. The hypothermal vent. grab back to bitmap, back to eraser, erase the word ocean trench. Okay, grab my paint can, go to white, fill my paint can back white. Okay, click on my T, make it black. This is a big word, H. Oh, not type. There we go. HYDROTHERMAL. Turn. I like mine to be center, so I space it over. Vent. Off of it. Fit it right barely inside. Convert to vector. Alright, so now I've got all my little labels. This is perfect. So I want to put my labels somewhere where I think they're going to be good to start the game. Now you might find that, it's going to say changes, that's fine. You might find that you just don't have enough room. So, you can put these like this. You don't always have to have them up top here like this. I'm just going to have mine up here. If you think they're still too big, you can go ahead and shrink them. So I'm going to shrink all mine down 2 times. So I want them to all fit nice and neat. I know the boxes look really small, but it's okay. Shrink. Alright, perfect. Now I can put this one here, move this one here, move this one here, this one here, this one here, and this little guy right up at the top. So I'll put him over. Alright, when you're happy and you feel like they're all where you want to be, that's great. We're going to do the very basic first script. We want all of these to go to a location. So to do that, we click on scripts, we click on events, we click when the flag is clicked, motion, go to the XY coordinate. This XY coordinate for the one trench, see it's highlighted, it says trench here. This means that this trench is located at 177 and 164. And you can see little XYs that change as your mouse goes over. So we want to do that for every single one. So that's step 1. For every single one, when flag is clicked, back to motion, go to X and Y. Do this one, flag is clicked, motion, go to X and Y. The X and Y is going to change for every single one, but this is good. You need this to X and Y. Go to X and Y. When flag is clicked, motion, go to X and Y. Alright. All my labels are set up. It's immediately what you do. And this is good, and I've got a very good first start. But I have to have these boxes have got to go somewhere. So I need a location. So I'm going to create another box. I'm going to create a rectangle. It's going to be an open rectangle. Remember, I want to create that little green dot right there in the middle. That looks pretty good. Convert to vector. It's probably a little too big. Yeah, it's way too big. So I'm going to, put it up over top of it. Try and shrink it. One of the things that's frustrating when you're shrinking is every single time the mouse moves off of your little box, you have to go back and click shrink again. But if you do it right one time, then you're just going to duplicate it over and over again. So let's see. That one fits nice. Nice big box around it. So I got to think where I want this to be. Well, this is the shelf, so I'm going to put one there. So again, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click I'm going to rename it shelf box. Okay. Well, there's 2 shelves in this game. One's here, one's here. So right click, duplicate, and look, it already named it shelf box 2. But I want to put where it's supposed to go. going to be right there. I can do this again, right click, duplicate. Of course, I don't want it to be shelf box 3, but it's going to be the slope. Now the slope isn't down there. The slope's going to be like right maybe here. But there's 2 slopes. So let's go ahead and duplicate that one. And there's my second slope. What about my plane? Same concept, guys. Right click, duplicate, click on the little thing, click on the eye, rename it plane. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to put the word box under slope. Let's go back and do that so I don't get confused here. Slope box. This one's going to be slope box 2. It'll just help. So I got my plane box. Let's see, what else did I need? I needed ridges. So let's go ahead and let's duplicate this one. Let's name it ridge box. Let's put ridge box up here. There's going to be a couple ridges. We'll just have 2 for this game. Let's put the other ridge box right there. Duplicate again. This one isn't going to be ridge box 3 though. We're going to make this one the vent box. And just kind of puts them randomly, so you just got to know where it does when you click duplicate. Put them where you want them to be. Duplicate one last time. This one's going to be for our trench. So I'm going to call it trench box. Looks like I put it way over here. So I'm going to put it right down here. Okay, so now we got all our boxes set up. So now we've got all this stuff set up. We're kind of ready to start playing the game, except we forgot to tell the boxes to go someplace when the flag is clicked. Because sometimes, you know, you're going to play your game and the boxes are just going to get moved around. You know, the cursor is just going to touch something else, and you just have to make sure that every time that flag is clicked, it's going to a fixed spot. So I know this seems a little tedious, but it's a great thing to do in the very beginning. Just go to every single little sprite and say, when the flag is clicked, go to this location. It's a great way to start all of your Scratch games. Almost done. Of course, your X and Y's are going to be totally different because you probably built your game a little, maybe you drew a better picture than Mr. Watts did. But we're almost there. Okay, almost. 2 to go. Last one. When the flag is clicked, go to X and Y. All right. So now we've got everything kind of set up. Everything's pretty much ready to go. Just missing a few little pieces to the puzzle. So the real issue of drag and drop games is we need to introduce the concept of clones. A clone is what you would think it is. It's just when you click on something, it duplicates itself. And in this situation of the game, you don't necessarily always have to create a clone, but in this situation, since we have 2 shelves, and we have 2 slopes, and we have 2 ridges, we really need to bring in the concept of clones, because if not, we kind of give away the answer to the user when they're playing our game. Because if we have 2 shelves, well, then there's 2 answers of 2 shelves, right? So we want to make sure that we fix that. It also helps fix the problem of we don't know really where the person who's playing our game, are they going to drag this to this shelf or to this shelf? You know, because it's not wrong if they drag it to this one, even though we told it to go to this one. So we got to think this through. So anyways, let's stop talking. We want to talk about clones now. So we'll click on the very first one, Continental Shelf. And here's the thing we're going to do. We're going to use our events, and we're going to say when the sprite is clicked. So I'm going to move this over here, just get some space. When the sprite is clicked. When the sprite is clicked, I want it to do something. Well, that's under control. I wanted to create a clone of myself. Okay? And then I noticed this when I was playing, I want it to go back a layer because for some reason in Scratch, when it creates a clone, it kind of creates a clone underneath of itself. So it's kind of weird. I need the original label to go back so that the clone steps up in the front. Okay? And then finally, I want it to follow my mouse pointer. There's a lot of different ways you can make it move, but this one I found is pretty easy. Just go to, whoops, order does matter. Go back one layer and then go to mouse pointer. So now, when the sprite is clicked, I can go ahead and click the flag to see. When the sprite is clicked, it creates a clone. See, there's the clone. Perfect. And it goes to my mouse pointer. Wherever my mouse pointer is, it's going to follow my clone. So that's great. Click the stop if you want it to go away. So I know I did this. One of the reasons why I made us go through and do all of our labels, because now this is a wonderful feature in Scratch. We can just drag this over top. So on each one of these, I'm just going to drag it over top. Looks like it does nothing. But now, when I go on each one of these, it already has this program copied from my continental shelf to my ocean ridge, from my continental shelf to my abyssal plain. So now all this stuff, I'm moving it all over because I know I've made this game already. I'm going to need some more room to write some more script. So I know that I'm pretty much done with when the sprite is clicked and when the flag is clicked, so I know I don't really need to touch that much. Okay, so that's it, right? So we've got, in the concept of this, we've done something very basic. We've created some sprites or some different things that our person playing our game can manipulate. And then we made it so that when the flag is clicked, it's always going to go to a location. And then we made it so that whenever you click this label, it's going to create a clone of itself. So very simple, very basic. Next up, we need to start talking about when I start my life as a clone, right? So we go back to control. When I start as a clone. When I start as a clone, I want it to do something. The first thing I want it to do is I want it to go to the very front. That's like step one. Like before I do anything, I need my clone to come to the front of the screen because I can't get messed up between my original label and my clone of my label. So I got that. When I start as a clone, go to the front. We can do that for everyone, but we'll copy over later. Okay. Next up, we want to go to a fixed location. We want this clone, and we could use probably go to mouse pointer, but I'm going to do something different this time. I'm going to use go to X and Y. Now, this X and Y is numbers, but this X and Y is going to change. So I'm going to go over to sensing, and look, the X coordinate of mouse, I'm just going to drop them in, and the Y coordinate of mouse. Now, every single time I click my sprite, he becomes a clone. When he becomes a clone, he goes to the front, and he follows the X and Y coordinates of my mouse. I picked the X and Y coordinate as opposed to mouse pointer because later when we want it to drop inside that box, we're going to use the X and Y coordinates as kind of our reference points. Not sure if you always have to do it, but in this case, we're going to do it. The next statement we need is what's called an if-then-else statement. Remember, we're not always going to use if-then-elses, but if ever you're giving your person playing your game two choices, you really need to give them the if-then-else. So let's go if-then-else, drop it over, go simple, right? Right there in the control. We're going to go back to sensing and touching. So if continental shelf is touching shelf box, then I want you to go to a location. Now, it's not going to be this location, but if I click over here on shelf box, I can take this go to X and I can drag it over to continental shelf. And look, there it is. Perfect. Go to that location. And then I want you to play a sound, because if you don't have to play a sound, we could literally just make it drag and drop over there, but I want the person playing my game to know that they did something good. So I get, it comes with the default sound of pop. Don't really need that. So I'm going to click over here where it says choose sounds from library. So I'm going to use something that sounds like oceans. So here we go. ripples. So I'm going to click it, click OK, and there's ripples. Perfect. So now I can go back and I can say sound, and look, play the sound of the ripples. Beautiful. So in the very basics, if we did this for the first time, there's one more thing we're forgetting in here, but what we've done right now is we've saying that when this is made a clone and it touches this, go to this location and play this sound. But there's one more thing I really want to bring in. What makes games fun is, of course, winning. So we want to go to what's called data. Click down data. We're going to make a variable, kind of like an X or a Y, if you're learning algebra later. So click variable. And we're going to name this the score. Okay? Just something simple. See, it puts it right there. I don't really want mine to be there. I'll put mine down here on the bottom. And so look, set the score to 0. So we need to click back on backdrops, and we need to say when the flag is clicked, data, set the score to 0. So we always want the score to start at 0. Then when we go to X, we play the sound, we want it to change the score by 1. So if you can get this clone to go to this box, you get to hear the sound of oceans or water, and you get to have your score go up by 1. There was one thing I forgot, and that's a forever loop. Right now, this is only going to be when I start as a clone, but I want it to always and forever follow my XY. I want it forever to do this, not this one split second when it becomes a clone over here, then it does these locations. No. I want it to happen forever. So you take this little forever loop, and you just put it over top of everything, just like that. Okay? Let's see if this game works so far. So here's my flag. Here's my continental shelf. Here's my clone. And look, my score, not sure why he's going up there. Oh, I know why he's going up there. Because of my forever loop. See, the forever loop's making him go up forever. We'll fix that in a second. But notice my score just keeps going up forever. So we need something. We need to stop. Don't want to stop everything. We just want to stop this script. So let's try it again. Click the stop sign. Click the flag. Click my box. Make clone. And look. It worked. And he didn't follow me around. The reason why he was following me around before is because this XY was inside of the forever loop. So I had to make sure to tell it to stop. Okay, we're almost done with this full script. Except, remember, there's 2 answers. It could be here or it could be here. So it's the exact same thing. I grab another if-then, and I put it inside the else. So it could touch shelf box 1, or it could touch shelf box 2. Boom. Then I click my motion. Remember, I don't want this to go to X. I want to click down here where it says shelf box, grab this, go to X, and drag it on top. Go back to my label of shelf. There it is. Yep. I'll go ahead and we'll play the same sound of ripples. I want it to change the score by 1 because I want you to get a point no matter which one you get to. And again, of course, I want it to stop the script. I don't want it to keep adding points forever. Okay, click the flag, click the stop sign, then the flag. Let's see if it works. Clicked it. Boom. 1 point. I got my sound. Click it again. Boom. 2 points. I got my sound again. That was really simple, wasn't it, guys? That was the basics of our drag and drop game. So now, all we really have to do for the rest of this stuff is drop this script on top of everything. Now I wonder if you can figure out what we have to change on each of our little boxes to make this game work. We'll see. So here I am, continental slope. Do I want continental slope to touch shelf box? No. I want to change that to slope box. And do I want it to go to that same location? Nope. So I gotta take this little guy out, separate them, get rid of them. You just drag them over to the side to make them get rid of them. Click on slope box, find my little go-to, and drag him there. There he is. Hook him back in. Now that's good. So same thing. He's not touching shelf box 2. He's touching slope box 2. And he's not going to that location. So I got to separate him. Click on my slope box 2. Take that, go to X. Put him inside. Click him back on. Click him back in. Click my stop. Click my flag. Let's see if it works the second time. Whoops. You got to click him. Then he makes a clone. He dropped. Now notice, he didn't make the same sound. So you're probably wondering, well, what's up with that? Why is he not making the same sound? Well, he's not making the same sound because, remember, the ripples is associated to the shelf. So there's a couple ways to fix this. You can just go pick a totally different sound. So you have to add in ripples for each little thing. So you could go back and you could grab the ripples again. Come on, ripples. There he is. You can add in the ripples now. So now when you click play ripples, they'll actually work. Whoops. See? Works the exact same way. Some students like to pick a totally different sound for each box. So we'll show that in the next one. So remember, we'll go stop. Go back to my ridge. Again, I'm not touching the shelf box. I'm touching the ridge box. And I'm not going to this location. I'm clicking down here on ridge box. And I'm going to that location. So I'm going to drag him over top of Ocean Ridge. Click him back in. I'm going to click him right there. Separate him right there. Drop him in. Again, I'm not touching shelf box 2. I'm touching ridge box 2. I'm not going to that location, so I'm going to separate him. Click on ridge box 2. Grab the go to X. Drop him inside of Ocean Ridge. There's my thing. Put him right underneath. Separate my other XY. Oops. If you ever make a mistake, just move them around. Again, I can't use this ripples because if you click over here on sounds, ripples doesn't exist. So I gotta pick ripples again. But in this case, I'm gonna pick a different one. I'll pick laser. That's kind of weird. Let's go with jungle. We'll go with that. It's kind of weird. We'll go with that one. So we'll go with jungle. So now I'm gonna make it so that when you touch this, you get jungle, just to be silly. Click my little stop button, make him click play, click this again, click it one more time. There's my ridge, there's my jungle sound. Right? Okay, so we're almost done. Let's click over on Abyssal Plane. And this is the one part that you guys might get a little caught up in. I only have one Abyssal Plane. I only have one hypothermal vent. I only have one ocean trench. Because of that, I can't use my if then else. So I really need to separate this whole thing out. But you can still use this if then and drop him inside. Just throw him away. Now you can switch this. Now we don't want to wear the Abyssal Plane now, so I can go down to plane box. Remember, I'm not going here. I can click on my plane box. Grab my go to X, drop him inside here. Sorry, lost track of where I was. Put him inside, separate the two, get rid of this go to X. Remember, I need the sound ripples. I can't tell it to play the sound ripples. Even though I did it for the first one, you have to do it for every one if you want that sound. If you want to pick different sounds, go ahead and pick different sounds. I'm just going to stick with ripples. So that, all right, so my Abyssal Plane's done. Let me check, make sure it works. Stop, flag, click, click again. There it is, Abyssal Plane, perfect. 2 to go. Here's trench. Remember, trench only has 1, so I got to separate. No if then else, just an if then. Put him in there. Get rid of that one. Switch this. Remember, we're going to trench box. Right? Yep. So doing the trench box. Don't want to go here, so I want to separate it. Click on trench box. Go to X. Drag him inside a trench. There he is. Drop him underneath. Separate the guys. Put him behind him. Throw him away. I need to grab my sound of the ripples. Click here. Scroll down. There's ripples. Click OK. Back to my scripts. Good to go. One more to go. Hypothermal vent. Remember, I only have one hypothermal vent. It's got to separate them. Take the if then out. Get rid of the if then else. Switch from shelf box down to vent box. Separate the go to X. Click on vent box. Take my go to X. Put him over top. Click back here. Drop him right where he's supposed to go, underneath. Separate the play sound from the old go to X. Get rid of this one. Add my sound ripples. Click OK. Back on my scripts. And we are good to go. Game created. So let's see how this works. See project page. Go ahead and click on flag. You can make it full screen if you really want it to be giant big, but here we go. Continental shelf. Boom, that was easy. Maybe too easy. That one right there. Notice because we programmed when it touches it, it just snaps right to it. Really helps our user not make a mistake. There's that jungle. There we go. There's my vent. There's my abyssal plane. There's my trench. And that's it, boys and girls. We could have a whole nother screen pop up after this and say, great job, you won. We'll talk about that another day when I'm doing on changing backdrops and adding in new sprites. But that's how you create a basic drag and drop game in Scratch on the Ocean Plane.